Record. All righty. So good afternoon, everyone. Hello, my name is attorney Robin McCoy, and this is Political Coffee with Robin and Tracy. And we have a special guest, attorney Wendy Barnwell.
Yeah, hey everybody. I'm GM Martin, aka Tracy, co-host of Political Coffee with attorney Robin McCoy, who's also from Robin Legal. And just to intro myself, I'm a politically independent, moderate lawyer, nonpartisan political strategist, and content creator. And I've recently been on some winning political teams, catapulting candidates into office. Please like and subscribe our brand new YouTube channel, Political Coffee. I want to remind you, we'll be rolling out our new website during Women's History Month next month. And Robin and I, we will be modeling some hot merch coming up, t-shirts, mugs, face masks, emblazoned with Political Coffee. And today, Robin and Wendy, I brought my Moscow Mule mug minus the Moscow. It got coffee inside. I need it.
Coffee?
Cheers.
And what do you have?
Talking to me?
Yes.
Hi, I have my mug that says, "You melt my heart."
Oh, nice.
Coffee, I need it today.
So you guys are both, hey, that's great. It's Political Coffee. You guys are drinking coffee. I don't drink coffee. If you haven't noticed, I'm pretty hyped up naturally. So I've got my Sister Friends mug. Sister Friends. And Sister Friends is an academic support network. It's a group that my friend Marcia and Joan, they're Haitian. So shout out to Marcia and Joan. We started that at University of Chicago. We just did a Zoom with them. It wasn't on Facebook, but maybe we'll get them on, Tracy, and they can dish. Marcia is a doctor. Joan is a businesswoman. So they can tell us about, what they think about life, politics, what's going on in Haiti, all that. But today, we have featured one of our legal warriors, attorney Wendy Barnwell, who has been practicing for 33 years, who is a mom. And I think of her as a mentor for me, for helping me as far as when I'm dealing with legal cases, criminal cases. And so she's a criminal defense attorney, an appeals attorney, and she's from Guyana. And she's very proud. If you guys see her on social media, she's proud of Guyana. She's a fitness guru. I'm waiting for her to start up with her own fitness line. Wendy, I'm gonna just say this. I actually got on the treadmill and the bike today in honor of you. So my partner and I, Ed, we did that. We were thinking about you today. So Wendy, welcome to Political Coffee.
Yes, welcome. Shout out to Wendy. And I love that outfit. Wow.
Yeah, and the picture, sharp. I love that. You said that was, I know you were saying that's like an African warrior in the background.
Yes, it is.
Yes. So Wendy, so welcome. So why don't we start, Wendy, why don't you tell us what motivated you to become a lawyer?
I always wanted to be a lawyer. From the age of 9 or 10, I articulated to classmates at my school. And then I went to high school. We start high school at 10 and 11 in Guyana after we sit for a particular national exam. So I went to St. Rose's High School, one of 4 or 5 top high schools in Guyana. So I went to St. Rose's. I entered at the age of 11. I left at the age of 18 after getting O levels. That's ordinary general certificate of examination through the University of London. They would come to Guyana and test us. And then I went on 2 years further and I did advanced level. I did Spanish, French, and I did history. So I'm an artsy person, not a mathematics person. I had lots of cousins who are like mathematics and science, but that was not me.
Me neither. That's why I ended up in law school. Although, I was good in physics and I thought about going to medical school, but I didn't. But I also want to wish you happy belated birthday, Wendy. I saw on social media that you had a birthday recently, and I want to give kudos to you. Thank you so much for your time today and your fierce advocacy in the courtroom. I can't wait to jump into the courtroom questions.
Yeah, Wendy, happy birthday. I know last year for your birthday, Tracy, we actually went to, it was a dance club that's in,
Cola Lounge.
Yeah, we went to the Cola Lounge and we Wendy and I are fellow dancers, booty shakers, if you will. We're dancers. So that's what
Cool.
we were doing last year. We're waiting for that opportunity to get back into our dancing. I mean, we can still
Yeah.
do it virtually.
Yeah. It's not the
Yeah,
same though as in person, right? Right, Wendy?
yeah. It's not the same. So Wendy, so you were born and raised in Guyana, and then I know you ultimately came over here to go to college. And again, so what motivated you to be, what inspired you to become a lawyer, and then what was your experience coming to the US?
I came here, I was 18 years old when I came. My uncle, my paternal uncle, Sidney Barnwell, he was a general surgeon in New Bern, North Carolina. He sent for his nieces and nephews. He was one of four brothers, including my dad, and they were very tight knit. And that was something that was taught to them in childhood to help their siblings and so it went on. So my uncle, Sidney, after whom my little brother is named, financed my undergraduate education. So I went to school at East Carolina University. I got my bachelor's. My major was political science.
Okay.
My minor in computer science.
Why do you have that?
Well, you know what, Wendy, I want to back up a little bit.
My uncle about that, and he said, "Computers are the future."
Well, he was right. But what about at the age of 10, Wendy? Your bio says that you knew at the age of 10 that you wanted to be a lawyer. I mean, how did that happen?
I had a more lofty idea. I thought I would go to the United Nations. I thought it was international law, but life brought me to criminal law.
Right.
Did you ever think about going into the foreign service? I'm curious. No. Okay. Just curious.
I came here and I actually was accepted to Howard University. So
Oh, wow.
But I didn't go. It had to do with finances.
Okay.
So I was waiting for my mom and my other siblings to join me in America and in Ohio. And so I went to law school in Ohio where I had my maternal relatives. So I left North Carolina when I finished my undergrad, my bachelor's, and then I came to Ohio. And then I went to the University of Toledo. I started there in 1984, I believe. Yes, in 1984, I started at the University of Toledo. And I graduated in 1987. I took my Ohio bar in, was it November? No, in June or whatever it was. July bar. July of 1987, and got my results in November, and I was sworn in at the Ohio Supreme Court in Columbus, Ohio on November 16, 1987, and I remember that day very well. Now, as to Michigan, I came here to work for a federal magistrate judge, Marcia Cook, in 1988. I interviewed with one of our colleagues, Nita Marie Greer, and Marcia Cook is now a federal judge in Florida, but she was a magistrate judge here.
Okay.
And when I was filling out my papers, we realized that I knew that I was a green card holder, that I needed citizenship. So I then went to Kirk and McCargo, and I applied for the Michigan bar, and I sat for the Michigan bar in February of '89 and got my results and was admitted to the Michigan bar June 22nd, I believe, 1989. So I have been practicing for a total of 33 years when you count Ohio.
Fantastic. Now, when you mentioned McCargo, was that Sam McCargo, Attorney Sam McCargo?
Yes, it was Sandy Kirk, who did a lot of tax and who represented Coleman Young at the time. And, and Mr. McCargo, Samuel McCargo. So
excellent.
He was my mentor, and we did medical malpractice defense. A chunk of it was medical malpractice defense. So we also did civil. So they were my mentors. And I always did research. I always wrote briefs. that were successful. I so I wrote at Kirk and McCargo. So it was an easy transition to write once I crossed over to criminal law. I crossed over to criminal law, something
Okay.
that I never thought I would do, because I used to have arguments with my slightly older sister. She's a year older, and she'd say, "Yo, criminal law, do criminal law." Like, why would I do criminal law? Blah blah. And I think she was right. It was an easy fit
Okay.
because I like to fight for people. Since I was little, I didn't just believe something because somebody said it, and I've it's just a natural fit. It's easier for me to defend than to accuse.
Okay.
And how long, Wendy, you said you've been practicing for 33 years. How long were you a trial attorney before you decided to do appeals and become an appellate attorney?
It was simultaneous.
Oh, okay.
When I went into private, I actually was trained through Michigan Appellate Assigned Counsel System in 1991. I had a small stint, a
Okay.
short stint of self-employment in 1991. And then I returned to self-employment in 1993. But I've always written. So I trained for the appeals. It was like a 3-day
Training.
session
Okay.
in Lansing, Michigan. And where they discussed many things with us. And then I applied to see where they would place me. They placed me on level 1. And throughout the years, they increased the levels if you applied. So it was just a natural thing. So I did trials from 1993 and appeals from 1993 continuously on to the present time. So I do both.
Right.
Wow.
I know you like we said you're a legal warrior, so I know you're on the appointed list to handle murder cases, rape cases. You've been on the appointed appeals list, and you do private appeals. So what has that experience been like? I mean, I know I've done murder, rape. I called you on the phone, look, girl, I need some help. I'm doing this heavy duty case. What has that been like?
It really helps. It's like a symbiotic relationship because appeals teach you and trials teach you. But unlike a lawyer who is just theoretical, they're just doing appeals and they've never been in that courtroom. They don't know that your client is talking, so you can't hear what they're saying, so you can make the objection that you're supposed to make. I know that a lot of things are happening in the middle of trial. I know that. Doing appeals has helped me. It's been a wonderful blessing in terms of substantive knowledge, in terms of how to find the answers. Okay.
Okay.
I use it as a tool in the middle of trial. I've used it successfully. You see, I get in my decades mixed up, so I'm old.
I wouldn't say old, you're
Are seasoned. She's seasoned.
Yeah, seasoned. Yeah. Tracy has the word seasoned, yes.
Thank you.
So Wendy, I gotta ask you.
I do interlocutory appeals when it's a serious issue that will make all the difference, because I am not trying to get a client out of prison after 26 years. I'm trying to stop them from going there, and I'm dead serious.
Right on.
From the beginning, from the get-go. And I wish that happened more frequently in a criminal justice system. So Wendy, are you making your own record? Well, of course you're fighting to win, but we know that things happen during these criminal trials. And so do you handle appeals from the same, trial below? Have you ever done that where you were the trial attorney and the appellate attorney on the same case?
That happened to me once in federal court.
Oh.
When I was retained to represent a guy on a major drug case there. I was also retained to represent him in the trial level, and we won on a motion to suppress.
Okay.
Fantastic.
And then I was wondering, where is he? He owes me some more money. What's up with this? And then I found out
I know how that is.
he was locked up by the feds. So I made them pay me my money before I went over to federal court with him. But let me
Okay.
tell you what I do in terms of trial, how there's a symbiosis between trials and appeals for me. I when a judge unjustly denies a motion that makes all the difference, such as expert witness testimony, allowing it. Okay? It's happened to me in baby death cases specifically.
Really?
And
Right.
I have the luxury now of looking back. I would stay up all night. Based on that ruling, I would stay up all night, make sure I got the transcripts from the court reporter, make sure I get the written order, and all we can write an e-file, file electronically my brief in the Court of Appeals to
Okay.
reverse the judge. In the middle of trial, I've done it. It is
Right.
very
Really?
difficult to do. It is
Wow.
very difficult to do. But when it's gonna, I can't wait for 30 years. I can't do it. Okay.
So you're
Uh,
very proactive in your advocacy and your defense, right
with,
from
with
jump.
those with those type of cases where my clients were innocent, and it had to do with getting doctors, right? So
Okay.
one case, I ended up with a doctor, a biomechanical engineer, to testify about force because the prosecution witness, the forensic pathologist, they were just coming up with all kinds of things, such as talking about force, the measurement of force, falling 8 stories from a building. Really? You'd only get that in a car crash, and false analogies. So I teamed up with one of my mentors, a doctor that I team up a lot with, who he might not appear in the case, but he's advising me constantly, is Dr. Dragovich. He
Oh,
is
Okay.
the head of the Oakland County Medical Examiner's Office.
yes, I met Dr. Dragovich when I did medical malpractice defense. And when I first started, they sent me to the Oakland County medical examiner, and Dr. Dragovich, he, performed some autopsies, and that was just an amazing experience. So that is fascinating that you have this consultant in the form of Dr. Dragovich during the actual trial.
Free consultation, but before trial,
Wow.
you can't wait until trial. But
Before trial.
my,
Okay.
my last baby, that trial ended successfully.
Okay.
August 15,
Congratulations.
2019, I had like 5 or 6 doctors. It was a second trial, and it was literally a war. And I'm not bragging about it because I cried when the jury delivered its verdict.
Really?
Okay.
Oh yeah. I sobbed all the way from 36th district across the street when they said they had a verdict.
Wow. It's
I
that
told them
emotional.
it was a serious matter where my client was innocent. And based on all that my doctors were telling me, I had doctors from University of Chicago, I had doctors from
Shout out to
California.
University of Chicago. That's my school. Go ahead. Sorry.
I had doctors in California. And when you get a doctor, you get another doctor and another and another. But most of the time, they don't answer you. You send them an email. But when you get to a doctor that they know, they're going to respond. So these are people who studied things. They're not just clinicians working, you know, it's people who they've had practical experience, but they do research and all of that. They publish and they stand up. They
Peer
stand up
review. Okay.
and they
But
stand
Wendy,
their ground.
you said that this particular client, this defendant, was innocent. I recall reading something about Jerry Spence, the great Jerry Spence, who once defended Jeffrey Feiger in a case regarding, I think it was campaign finance allegations. He said that he made some of his clients, maybe not some of them, all of them, submit to lie detector tests, polygraph examinations before he agreed to represent them. How did you know that your client was innocent, and did you make this client submit to a lie detector test before taking him on as a client?
No, not at all. Because my doctors were telling me what the other doctors had testified to was,
Okay.
was jumping to conclusions. So in forensic pathology, there are multiple causes of death, right? Intentional, undetermined, accidental,
Okay.
among them. So when you don't know, you don't jump. You go with undetermined, and that's what they're not doing. Okay. So I
So
had
just by
doctors.
doing the discovery, you could see and getting the expert opinions before the trial, you
I get
knew,
the
oh, this
doctors
person's gonna be innocent.
way up early because
Okay,
I succeeded on a 2016 baby death case, another one,
Okay.
and I had met Dr. Dragovich based on that case. He actually testified. That one also had two trials. There was a hung jury, right? But there were no marks on the outside, okay,
Hmm.
of these kids. So it's not obvious to a parent, but a child can be sick and a parent may not know this.
Okay.
Even the doctors didn't know. So because of that, and because also when I worked at Kirk and McCargill, we did medical malpractice. So we
right.
had doctors against doctors. We had depositions. I did a lot of depositions um, when I worked there. I worked there for 3 years. And so I knew that a doctor could be wrong. I knew that another doctor could counter another doctor. But
Okay.
in the field here in criminal law, some doctors think that you've committed a crime in it opposing what they've said when another
Right.
doctor comes in. So I came from a background where doctors were going up against each other.
Okay.
So I'm in shock now. So it wasn't going to go that way because I didn't believe what they were saying, because I also practiced in juvenile court where they were taking people's kids away. They
We
were
know.
torturing
Tracy and I know. We've
Yeah,
been at juvie.
All
that's
right,
what
so
we
I'm
do.
preaching to the choir.
And it's not a laughing matter. So I mean, no disrespect. It's just ridiculous. So, some of these charges that parents have to face. And Wendy, you said that there were no marks on the outside. You knew your client was innocent. It was a baby death case. Was this a case that involved what they used to call shaken baby syndrome, that involved a traumatic brain injury?
No, this case had to do with an injury at the spinal column,
Oh,
the
Oh, okay.
spinal column. But I had another doctor who sat with me through everything, who I gave everything to from the get go, who also was not just an anatomic pathologist and a clinical pathologist, but he was also a research pathologist. He also had a PhD. He was a medical doctor, and he also had a PhD in research pathology. So he's researching now, how can this happen? That's what those guys are supposed to do also. That's what they're
right.
supposed to do also, but they don't. So they come up with theories of how this could happen and all kinds of stuff like that.
How
Um,
old was the child at the time of death?
the child was 2.5, but
Oh, a toddler.
also, so we were able to see that there are all kinds of diseases and they're rare diseases.
Right.
They couldn't click that you can have a rare disease.
Right,
Really, they
rickets,
could not.
osteogenesis imperfecta. And at 2.5 years of age, that child was ambulating, walking around, and could have injured himself. It's not like an actual baby where, that's usually what the state raises. Oh, the child is so young. How could they, get around and ambulate
He
and
hurt.
fall or injure themselves? That it had to be intentional and non-accidental.
And do you know that in now going to the 2016 baby that case, that came from a fall from a kitchen counter. She said it was a
Oh,
fall from a kitchen counter. A
Okay.
lot of stuff happened, but in the second trial, she testified, and things came out in the second trial that she was on that witness stand. I'm learning it. I learned some things the night before she testified, but
Okay.
and I also learned when she's on the witness stand what was happening. Okay, and what she said was plausible. Okay, the standard is beyond a reason, guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. It's not probable cause. It's not like in juvenile court where I believe it's preponderance of the evidence at trial. Um,
clear and convincing, clear
Clear
and
and
convincing.
convincing
But it
evidence
is,
on
it
appeal.
it is beyond a reasonable doubt for cases involving Indian children. The standard of proof is higher. And really, I believe the standard of proof should be higher for all children because
For
this clear and convincing evidence, you just seen so many parental rights terminated from that lower standard of proof. It should be beyond a reasonable doubt as well, because, they say, oh, it's a civil case in the juvenile court, but it really is a quasi criminal case, in my opinion, when it comes to these neglect and abuse trials where they're trying to terminate the parents' rights. What do you think, Wendy?
And in juvenile court, they don't have the benefit of an expert.
right, and they
Right.
don't always
How
have the
in the
resources.
world?
Because like I had my first three, I started out representing parents, and my first three jury trials were cases, it was parental discipline cases where I represented the parents, and I took it to jury trial and we prevailed. But if you didn't have an attorney that was going to take
Bravo.
it and fight, yeah, and and it's political too, because they,
Oh, yes.
and there's issues. I mean, Wendy, it's good that you're asking for experts. I know it's like an issue about when you have folks that are indigent, making sure you have the resources available to them. And even for me, even as a lawyer gardening at Lightem, I didn't always just go in like with the kind of like, some people go in with like a prosecutorial leaning mindset. You have to come in with an open mind because these are parents. It could have been an accident. When I had one case where the baby fell in a bucket, it was the day before its birthday, fell in a bucket and drowned. And and they come really hard for the parents, and it's like, well, this is an accident, but you don't always, just like, we talk about, Tracy and I have talked about the criminal justice system, how there's a bias against particularly Black folk and poor folk. It's the same thing in the juvenile court. There's a bias against folks, and if you don't have the resources to hire lawyers or experts, then you're going to get shafted.
Now I gotta tell you guys this.
Okay.
There's been a great change where we in Wayne County, we, the defense bar, we don't have to go begging them for an expert. There's been money allotted, I think several $1 million for us to get our experts, and we get our experts. I love it. I love it.
Great. Bravo. Now you're
It's
talking
such a
about on the
huge thing.
criminal side, right? On the criminal side.
On the criminal side. On the
Right.
criminal side. I think Michigan Indigent Defense Commission has done a lot to make those things happen, to bring quality representation, and to help raise attorney fees too, because a lot of lawyers wouldn't do it because the pay is meager and minuscule. So
Right.
I mean, now things are looking up. Things are really, really looking up,
So you agree with, that was Governor Snyder, Rick Snyder, who's facing, misdemeanor charges regarding the Flint water crisis right now. But it was Rick Snyder who brought in the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission, and you agree with it. You agree with the changes that have happened in Wayne County on the criminal dockets?
I didn't agree with everything, but the judges have, you hear something theoretically and it's not the same. But when you hear practical things, when you experience practical things, you can analyze better. So I am pro defense. I am pro our bar association, Wayne County Criminal Defense Bar Association.
Yeah, we had the president on a
Like
couple of weeks
Luther.
ago, Luther Glenn.
Luther,
Yeah.
we have Lillian Diallo, we have Gabby Silver.
We have you, Wendy. You're still on the board. You're still on the board.
Yeah, I mean, those people are like pioneers. Like Lillian reminds me of this lady behind me here.
Wow. Yeah, all legal gladiators. But I got to ask you, everything has changed now because of this pandemic. And so how are you holding up in Zoom court? Are you, what kind of, are you doing any trials? There's no trials happening in Wayne County, but what about other jurisdictions? Have you been doing any trials anywhere?
Okay, so I have done in-person hearings.
Yeah, I've seen you. I was gonna say Wendy has done some live exams. I mean,
Really?
I've just started doing live, but Wendy has definitely been out there.
In Wayne County?
Lincoln Park. Yeah, Lincoln Park. I did 7 days. We had a preliminary examination on a 2-defendant case that spanned 7 days from November all the way to February. And the judge is really smart. Zelenak, I think his name is. we would pre-choose dates, X, Y, Z, and there was a lot of testimony. We have short deadlines on that. I don't think it's going to work because it's so much. That's a baby death case. Okay.
Okay.
So I was
Oh,
in court for that. And it's odd because you're masked up, right? So I wear a device
yeah.
under my mask to allow me to breathe, and I have on another mask, then I have on a mask. I wear
Oh,
it
so
as
you have your own self-contained air coming in? You have your own air
I
flow?
can breathe when I wear it's
Okay.
a plastic device that goes around the nose, the shape of the nose, the lips, and then I put on a mask under that.
Okay.
So
Oh,
I
cool.
mean, uh, I've had a live exam on a serious capital case in Garden City, and it's been Lincoln Park and Garden City that I've been physically in the building. I've also held 2 exams or so on Zoom. One because my client couldn't keep coming in from uh, Massachusetts, right?
Okay.
One of them is a Massachusetts situation, and the other one, I think a judge didn't allow me to do live. But
Really?
anyway, I'm the
Well,
same
I
way
wouldn't
on
think of
Zoom.
these trials, though. I mean, not trials, but these hearings on Zoom, because, I actually came out of a trial, oh my goodness, in Oakland County. It was a civil matter. Um, and it was 5 hours on Zoom. And, when you're on Zoom that long, people start losing their technology. And that's an issue for me on Zoom. And then, I had to get in all these exhibits and I got them all in and it was a good outcome, but it's very tiring to do it on Zoom. And, I don't like it. I would like to do in-person trials and hearings. And I hear in Wayne County, that's happening next month.
Yeah,
Is that what
they
you heard?
say they say so. Oh, I've also done live exams at 36 District Court. I'm,
Okay.
I'm
Oh,
doing
okay.
a homicide exam live one. We continue next week. We started on my birthday.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Because yeah, Wendy, I have seen you out there. I just started this month. I just started back with live exams. I was doing either Zoom, I was dealing with health issues and everything, and I started live. And I know we've also talked about it, and Tracy and I have talked about it too. I got the shot. I got my first shot. I get my next shot next week. They did designate lawyers as frontline essential workers under 1B and 1C because of we're exposed to folks, that are in jail, prison, or even the general public. And I know you said you had gotten your first shot. And do you have any thoughts about that? Because we do have the public as they're watching, and there are folks that have been hesitant about getting the shot.
I would recommend it. My 94-year-old uncle, the retired general surgeon in North Carolina, he got both his shots. I got my first. I'm waiting for my second. I have to look at my schedule for the following day because I heard that that's the rougher one. And so I might
I
want
heard
to look
that too.
and see if I could cancel maybe or reschedule for the next day because, I am senior. Uh,
Mature, seasoned.
Nobody would ever think that, though, to look at you, Wendy. My goodness, you
No,
look
black don't crack.
black on crack. You don't look a day over 35.
And then Wendy, I
Wow.
have to ask too, again, your Guyanese and everything. Do you? Because we've talked about remedies. Like I take zinc. Shout out to Nurse Pam, to my mom. I take zinc, turmeric, elderberry. What else? Vitamin D every day. Do you have any Guyanese like remedies to boost your immunity? Do you think you have any recommendations? We're not doctors, y'all. Check with your doctor, your holistic doctor. We are lawyers, okay? We're giving a disclaimer. But Wendy.
I've been doing a mixture of ginger. I grate the ginger and boil it up with lemon. I
Oh,
slice the lemon,
nice.
and then when that's finished boiling, I strain it. Then I put it in a cup, right? And I add turmeric to it, a
Oh,
dash of
yes.
turmeric, and then I squeeze lemon in it. And I've been doing that the entire pandemic. I slacked off some, but I drink it at least once a week now. But truly, I was like so scared. But I mean, it helped Nobody got sick in this house, thank God, and
Oh,
keeping
great.
our fingers crossed. So with Zoom, I think it protected us. But on the other hand, it um it is very unhealthy to sit still. Like some days I'm on Zoom from 8:30 to sometimes 4:13. Take a quick
Wow.
flight and come right back and Zoom and I'm zooming on multiple devices for multiple
Right.
points, right? Um, and I think it's not the healthiest way because I think we could, we can it's circulatory problems. I think blood clots. I'm not a doctor, but I don't believe it's healthy. On the other hand, it is a great alternative for what we've been through. Things keep moving, not to trial, not to the start of trial, but it has helped things to progress.
Right. So
So
are you ready to go back? Are you ready to go back to the inside of the court houses? I understand that these courts in Wayne County, anyway, they're going to be conducting in-person hearings and trials on a limited basis, and they're going to be restricting the number of people who actually enter the courthouse, keeping a list. That's what I understand with Third
that's
Circuit
what's
anyway.
been happening. They're not letting you into 36 unless you have a in-person case that day. You're not getting in
Okay,
there. Okay, and
okay,
then they do
good.
a temperature check, and
Right.
you have to be properly masked. You go up. There's lots of plastic plexiglass shield. Um, I mean, I've posted pictures with Judge King who has plexi. I mean, he's cool enough to do it. So
Okay.
I saw that photo. That was so cool.
Yeah.
That was really cool. Yeah, on
and
I
social
tomorrow
media.
is his birthday, so I gotta
Oh, happy birthday, Judge King. Shout out to Judge King.
Happy birthday, Judge
Yeah, and
King.
then what
Happy
you guys been
birthday.
talking about with sitting and everything, because I've been having problems like with sitting all these times. I've had to go to physical therapy, and the physical therapist actually recommended I just got a laptop stand because she said it's not healthy to be sitting at the computer bent over. So I have a laptop stand so I can put my laptop there. So she said some of the time we should be standing so you can get a laptop stand. I got it off of Amazon. Or if you have a high desk or something, put it on the desk. But she said, don't, it's just not natural for us to be sitting, and when we sit we hunch over the computer and then it just messes up our spine and our neck and our back
Right.
and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm grateful. There's been a lot of advocacy, like Miss Lillian Diallo and Gabby. They're a great team. You have Beth Morrow, and you have Catherine O'Mara. Those lawyers have really advocated, and they've advocated for us to get our shot. They've advocated for many things for which we have benefited. You know,
Shout out to the lady lawyers of the criminal defense bar.
Right.
Yeah.
And when the defense bar is taken care of, naturally the clients are taken care of, because you can't have legal warriors, legal gladiators going into the arena of the courtroom and they're not paid sufficiently, not provided with sufficient funds to go up against the great resources of the state and hire experts and mechanical engineers to defend clients. But what I want to ask you, this is a burning question. There's so much that happened last year with the deaths of Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. Many say that there's a racial reckoning happening all across America. I know you said that you've been doing hearings via Zoom, but do you see the tide turning in criminal courts where you practice? Is there more fairness, less systemic bias, if you will, against defendants of color?
all right. So let me go first to what I observed when pre-pandemic. Okay,
Okay.
Okay.
I don't think there's been enough. We've not had trials since the pandemic that we could measure certain things by. Okay, but I'll tell you that I saw the Trump factor in court. Right?
Oh,
I'm not
oh,
from
this is interesting.
America. I'm not from America originally. Okay,
Okay.
I never experienced anybody calling me any N word in my life to my face. Okay, but if they did, good. I don't know what they're talking about. All right, so I was shocked when I saw it happening. I saw it in 2016, uh, but mostly I saw it during my last baby death case. I couldn't believe what the judge was doing. I couldn't believe it. And then I said, you know what? Oh my God, look what's happening. So that Trump factor existed where people got bold in court, okay? But I
Really?
was playing and I called it out when during voir dire.
Oh,
I
good.
didn't say Trump, but I talked about race being a factor. Is race a factor? Will his black race, will that be a factor in you getting there quickly to a jury verdict? Quickly to a guilty verdict?
Did
Will that
anybody say yes?
speed it up? Nobody said yes, but they knew what I was talking about.
Okay. So
Okay.
you set the tone right there.
Right. So
At the
hit it,
outset.
and
You
I
said
hit it in
voir
voir
dire.
dire. I hit it in voir dire. Okay.
Good.
Because it exists and it pissed. Oop, can I say that word?
You can
That's
say
okay.
that. But Wendy, I just want to be clear for the audience,
Off.
because you're saying it was, because from my experience, it's been, there's been systemic racism from the outset. So you're saying when Trump got into office, people, it was more blatant.
I experienced it in the courtroom with people who were my opponents and the judge. Like, oh, okay, you guys belong to the same club, all right. Which made me more determined, which made that person weaker. I think it made them weaker because they were
Oh,
given everything. And so but it made me more determined. And that was part of why I was crying when the verdict came down, right? Because it was like, what? Unbelievable. So I saw it in juvenile court. So I don't want to go to juvenile court. I don't want to do the neglect cases because I'm ticked off all the time when I'm down there. All right.
really?
Absolutely.
Why?
You must
Because
see
of
me
the
up there. There's nothing there. There are no resources for parents. The stuff I've seen, I don't think the jurists had enough substantive knowledge.
Ooh.
God, I mean,
Was it a judge or a referee?
I saw both. I saw
Really?
that. I saw like, how do you jump to that? I mean, come on now. So
And
I
then
saw that.
you're giving us the perspective. You're a mom, you have two boys. And so it's like, you're not just coming in, you're coming in as a mom, as a lawyer. And how long did you work over at the juvenile court?
I did it for years, over a decade. I was
Okay.
there, maybe 15 years. But I saw and I understood America from, I mean, I'm not from here originally, but I start to understand, like, wait up here. So, and look, Black people are disadvantaged everywhere, okay?
Okay.
But I grew up when we had Black government. My father knew the president of Guyana, that type thing. I grew up where to be Black, I have cousins who are brilliant in mathematics and science. I know people who are brilliant mathematicians. I saw that growing up. So I had no idea. I had a big argument with my sister before I came to America when she said that Blacks were a minority. I said, what are you
Oh,
talking about? What are you talking about? I couldn't conceive. But I got here, I saw stuff. I came to North Carolina. Well, remember, I'm new, so I don't know. I'm not discerning. You know what I mean? You can't
right.
discern when you're new, you're not from the atmosphere. But when I came to Detroit, um, I mean, I chose Detroit because I loved it. I came here for the African World Festival from Toledo, Ohio, when I was in law school. I came for it was amazing.
Detroit's like little Africa. It's like, to me, it's like little Africa.
80% Black.
I saw Blacks dress unapologetically in African wear. So I loved it. And so I had a choice of going to Columbus, Ohio, or choosing Detroit, Michigan. And I chose Detroit. Okay. Now, I
Great.
also go to court in Ohio because I'm licensed there. And it's always a shock when I go. Like I had
Why?
a trial in Cleveland in 2019. It lasted for 6 days. But before the trial, of course, we had pre-trial hearings. It was always a shock when who I would see there and how people were like segregated off to the side, waiting to come in the courtroom. I mean, it was different. It's different.
Hmm.
But I saw that. It was like, oh my God. And you
Wow.
read and you understand, and wow. So I mean,
Well, Wendy,
now, but now
Wendy,
we have not been able to test the effects of things. But I think
okay.
that, our defense bar and many other people of the bar, federal bar, we joined together with like Brandy Robinson, I think her name is. She's at
Yeah,
neighborhood.
Brandy. She's with the
Right.
NDS.
So she was there were a bunch of lawyers who based
Neighborhood
on
Defender Services.
neighborhood defender services,
Mm-hmm.
Victoria's husband, Robert,
Robert
Victoria.
Burton Harris.
And we all
Right.
marched. I don't know if you were there, Robin. I don't know if you were there. We marched.
No, I was dealing with some health issues, but yeah, I do
Okay.
remember you guys, you marched.
I
You
saw it. I saw it on the news channels, and I saw you guys out there, and that's great for representing. Because there are a lot of people who are of the mind, Black people in America, that in order to get justice in America, you need to have what happened to you go viral on video, like George Floyd. And he's not with us anymore, and Breonna Taylor isn't with us anymore, and Ahmaud Arbery is not with us anymore. Why do Black people, Black and brown people, have to die and have these incidents go viral in order to get justice? It's a rhetorical question, but this is what people are thinking. And I'm just so glad that we have warriors like you and Robin, Wendy. I mean, I wish we could clone you both, because,
Thank
you
you.
know, the people are just, starving. They're craving for justice in America. And I'm so sorry that we had this incident last year with George Floyd. I really think that shook things up, but it does remain to be seen whether
Yes.
there's going to be a change away from the systemic bias. I saw it when I practiced criminal defense. I saw how people were treated differently based on their skin color. It was
Right.
there.
It's like a caste system, and it's like, if I was just looking up the stats, like for now 2021, they said 2.3 million, we have 2.3 million people that are incarcerated in America, and 40% of them are Black. And then when
Right.
I calculated that out, that came to about almost a million of the people that are incarcerated in America are Black. We're only 13-14% of the population, but 40% of us are in the prison industrial complex. And we have some progressive prosecutors. We have Ellie Savitt, we have Karen McDonald. I know Kim Worthy, her office has promised to make some changes, but it's still Wendy, what you and I see, and I mean, Tracy, you see it even in the juvenile court, we still see mostly Black and brown, Black. Well, we're here, this area is mostly Black and poor people, and people with mental health issues, drug issues, and you don't always have prosecutors on the other side that are compassionate. They're just kind of, even in the midst of a pandemic. And Wendy, can you speak? We talked about activism. I know that there's been a big push for us to do motions for compassionate release. So have you done any motions for clients for compassionate release, and have they been successful?
I have done it within an appeal. I was hired this summer, actually in May, for a major appeal on a case. So I know that like people like Gabby and Lillian, they were doing them. I I'm with the federal attorneys there too. I do appeals from them, and I saw that was happening more and more. I did a motion. I've done them within the trial context.
Okay.
Within the trial context. So my clients are in jail rather than in prison. Okay, but I did it for this one guy um, who he's still locked up because the Court of Appeals denied it. Um, but COVID has given an opportunity for such things. You see what I mean? He
Okay.
is charged with a serious thing, husband and wife stuff, but he's charged seriously, okay? And they denied it, but our appeal is still ongoing, and I expect to win.
All right. Of
um,
course you
Right.
will.
We hope you win.
well, yeah, pray and all that. But I mean, February 27th of 2020, I got a published opinion, People versus Juan del Cid. I don't know that they've assigned it, a volume or page number in the publication yet. They probably did, but I'm busy. But my appeal on that case that I'm waiting, to hear what's going to happen. My appeal is based on that case, where you see a lot of stuff. You see a lot of stuff happening in rural Michigan.
Oh,
That would not happen in Wayne County.
really?
What's going on over here? Now,
Could you tell us a little bit about that case in a nutshell?
my client is a white male, okay?
Okay.
And his wife made accusations to say that she was violated by him throughout the entire 15-year marriage. Okay.
Makes me think of that Rideout case. Remember the Greta Rideout?
5 children together, but the stunts that were pulled by the prosecutor you should see what she did in voir dire. Of course, that's where you win the case, but you should see what she did in voir dire. That's a very small community. It's a farming community. When you enter that community, you see those green and yellow tractors. And
Right.
what's like supposed to be the main road, which is a rural road. Okay. It's north of Detroit. They were in one county. She never reported anything during the marriage, but once a divorce was filed, then things happened. And now here comes a rape accusation that he was doing that throughout 14 and a half years. And then they brought in a counselor who was usurping the role of the jury, because now she's saying that, yes, she had all this trauma and all this stuff happened because of her religious background, because of this, that. I think I'm a winner on that one.
Wow. We'll have to have you come back and talk about that case. But I want to ask you both a question. It's 3:30. Well, wait, I'm not sure if I have the right time. But I want to ask you both this question. Robin, you talked about compassionate release. What's your opinion on mass pardons on both the federal and the state level? I know that there's a lot of activism and a push for the Biden administration to engage in mass pardons for low-level offenders who've been serving ultra-long sentences. But the bulk of the people who are locked up, as you know, on these types of cases are on the state level. I mean, do you think that mass pardons should happen? And what would be the best mechanism to make it occur, in your opinions?
Well, I'll go first. I mean, you guys know we're doing expungement workshops, forums. We have one coming up on the 27th, and we have the clean slate legislation has been it's more expansive, but there's still people, I get calls all the time for people that are not eligible. So I think that the governor should do mass pardons for people that don't qualify, but maybe it's been 20, 30 years. I have a lady now, she's got 1 felony, 1 misdemeanor, and they haven't had any new offenses, things like that. So I think that the governor should do it. And I know—
Is she signaling that she's considering, Governor Whitmer, Michigan's governor, she's signaling that she's going to consider that? I haven't really heard much about it.
I know that they did say that there were some pardons, but I have not heard as of yet. I had talked to her office previously when I had asked them about mass pardons, and they said to wait for the clean slate legislation to go through, which some of it will be going through in April, and then you have more that'll go through in October of 2022. So I can circle back on that. But I definitely think that Whitmer and Biden should be doing mass pardons for especially folks that are nonviolent. It's just, you have people that are getting sick and that are dying from COVID. I mean, even before COVID, there's issues about, Brian Stevenson has the Equal Justice Initiative, and they talk about just the disparate treatment of folks that are in our prison industrial complex. We incarcerate more people than any other country in the world, and the way we treat people is just, it's just abysmal. I'm not saying people shouldn't have consequences for their actions, but we should still have some humanity.
Right. Well, there's been one notion out there about, because I'm sure you've heard about the 14,000 case backlog on the federal level in terms of pardons. And so there's one school of thought that says, take it out of the Department of Justice hands and form a commission, a task force. Robin, you should be on that task force to help move these cases forward and get people out of incarceration. They don't need to be there. They've been there a long time. Nonviolent, low-level offenders. We need some momentum with that. And I personally think that that's a great idea. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, Wendy, what I want to ask you too is because when, Tracy and I signed on to a letter to request the release of Kwame Kilpatrick, the former mayor of Detroit. We see Trump did give him clemency. And I also included in my request, I talked about the nonviolent brothers that are in the system. And so, Wendy, when I called them, I called one of the pastors that was affiliated with the First Step Act, and they were saying that they were trying to release folk, but they were worried about reentry, like making sure that there were families and supports to take people in. And with you being, a litigator and an appeals attorney, what do you think is the best way for that to happen? I guess logistically.
Wow. I think that they should give mass pardons to people who are nonviolent. Those drug offenses, it doesn't even make sense. There were changes in the law when I was a younger lawyer, and they had truth in sentencing and all kinds of
Right.
stuff that kept people locked up with unproductive lives, not benefiting anybody. I've seen that I think like private entities are helping. I think Debbie Ferguson, she retired from SADO. I think they have things that programs
Great. Yeah.
that deal with reentry. I think we need more of that. Um, but I think that there needs to be, we have the probation department, and they just look at the negative things. When you read a pre-sentence report, you just see negative. They don't look at
Right.
positive. I think there needs to be a division that helps. I think there needs to be resources that help people to get employment, and maybe government can partner with private industry to facilitate it, where people
Great
are
idea.
employed gainfully, where people get breaks. When people get a conviction, they can't go into certain housing, right?
Right.
I mean, the consequences are tremendous. They cannot come back. They cannot. How do you get in? How is it when everybody in your family's been to prison? Your parents' rights were terminated. You don't know where they are. Okay.
Okay.
You lost contact with people. You come out. Where do you go? Are you
Right.
on Neck Avenue just hanging around and
And that's
accepting
what
it
causes
as demure?
recidivism, because if people don't have the resources, some of them think, oh, I might as well just go back and repeat offend for three, hots and a cot, because I can't make it out here without any resources. So
Because
I totally agree with you. But
there's
Wendy,
homelessness.
Before you leave, I do want to update you about some changes at Wayne County Juvenile Court. They are making an effort to be better. And I know that when I have these hardcore termination trial cases where there's been a baby death or severe injury, I file a motion to appear in front of the chief judge, and there is funding for that. And I asked for funding for an expert witness. And unfortunately, not all the lawyers do that or know that they can do that. But I know I appeared in front of our former chief judge, Robert Colombo, the Honorable Robert Colombo, and he always approved expert witnesses for me. But fast forward to today, there is a program that's going to be launched to provide ancillary legal services to parents at Wayne County Juvenile Court to help them with things like evictions and driver's license restoration and child support issues. And there's actually a bid out, request for proposal for an outfit to make sure that that happens. There's also a program that's being rolled out to help parents who are involved in custody disputes, because as you know, if custody is shifted from one parent to the other, that could favorably resolve the matter without having to terminate someone's rights. So they are trying, but it is baby steps. But we're trying to move in the right direction. So maybe you might come back with your advocacy after you're, done being a gladiator with all these cases that you have now. Give us another chance.
Yeah, it was a start. It's a start.
Right.
So Wendy, I'm glad that you were able to join us. You are
Yes.
we got this Black woman wisdom here. You're a legal gladiator, you're a mom, and I know we'll have to have you come back and talk about being a mom during the pandemic, like with
Yes, please.
Mario and Leonardo. So kudos to you. Happy birthday to you. Thank you for all you do. We definitely salute you.
Absolutely. And Wendy, before you go, who is your legal idol? Who's someone you admire, look up to, with your vast experience? Who is your idol? I know you talked about mentors, but are they the one and the same?
I have idols. I see other lawyers. I see young lawyers who are like really sharp with business. Like Kristen Iverson. I'm watching them.
Okay.
And I'm learning from them, like Alexandria Taylor. They're like more like they have like the technology part. That's what I'm observing with young lawyers like Kiana Franulik. I truly admire Lillian Diallo because she is a warrior.
Shout out to Lillian. Yes, and the other ladies.
I admire Gabby. I saw great advocacy in Luther Glenn. I've seen that. When I was young, I called up Otis Culpepper for advice.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. One of my mentors, Gerald Serwick, he's now deceased, but I asked him advice on appeals every time he would meet with me. We would go over transcripts together. One of my mentors, like one of the most serious ones, was Rosemary Robinson.
Oh.
State rep
Isaac
Yes.
Isaac Robinson's mom. Yeah.
Yes.
Rosemary. Oh my goodness. Like serious lawyers like that. I mean, I am, and I hope I'm not leaving anybody out. But that's what I have come across. And I'm truly grateful that I'm in Detroit, that I chose Detroit. I met the best people here. I love how Blacks like you, Tracy, identify as Black. Um, you, you see like some questionable stuff in people in my country. I mean,
Wow.
like I identify the way people in Detroit identify. And
Okay.
I love it. It's taught me
Interesting.
a lot. I love being Black. I absolutely love it. I did my DNA. Me and Robin, we know. I did Ancestry. I did 23andMe.
Yeah, we had a lot of
Okay.
African.
Oh, I hope you come back, Wendy. I'd love you to come back on a couple of shows. We're doing a show about genealogy, and we can compare notes about our experiences with Ancestry.com and 23andMe. And I'd also like you to come back and talk about the Crown Act and hair discrimination. As a professional woman, I would like you to be one of our panel of professional women who will talk about the Crown Act, including Robin. I think we're going to have State Representative Erica Geis on as well to join that panel.
Because there's Representative Anthony just submitted. She reintroduced some legislation on the Crown Act, and then Senator Geis has some proposed legislation.
Oh, I'm sorry, Senator Geis. Yes, yeah. Excuse me. Oh, that would be great. I hope you can join us again, Wendy. I really loved everything that you had to say, and I love that necklace.
Wendy just looks, her braids, her look. She's giving me life over here. You got Wendy.
She slays, totally.
Yeah. Thank you guys for all the kudos. You guys know how to make a girl feel special and great. I admire you, Tracy and Robin. Robin needs to run for United States Senator.
We'll see whatever the universe has out there. We'll see what happens. So, but thank you, Wendy. So
yes, thanks, Gwen.
So everybody quickly.
So everyone, this has been Political Coffee with Robin and Tracy and our special guest, attorney Wendy Barnwell. So check us out. We'll be back next week. We're gonna have
Anthony
Adams. And we've invited Mayor Duggan, so we'll see. Hey, we're being open and transparent. We've invited all sides. So everybody.
Yes, Anthony Adams, you know, he's the former deputy mayor of Detroit, and now he's running for the mayor of Detroit. And the filing deadline is coming up next, well, not next month, but April 20th. And we plan on having a number of candidates who are running for Detroit City Council as well. And we've got a hot lineup coming up for you in March, Women's History Month, with Lanita Baker. She's the VP of the National Bar Association and the lead attorney for the family of the late Breonna Taylor. We have Pam Perry, the PR guru and coach. She's going to be talking about politics and PR. And then, Robin, you mentioned about the expungement forum that's coming up in late March as well. We've got a all-star panel connected with this expungement forum with Senator Jeff Irwin, Representative Ronnie Peterson, Chief Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Victoria Burton Harris out of Washtenaw County, and others. So we hope you continue to join us and like and subscribe.
Yes,
and Wendy, we're going to get you one of our mugs, our political coffee
once we
mugs
get our,
coming up.
but I got my sister friends. You guys are my sister friends. So I hope you
I
guys
love it.
need to stay safe and be blessed. And this has been Political Coffee with Robin and Tracy.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.